Bad news for Denny Hamlin. In his 5 years of racing with Joe Gibbs Racing, this would be a difficult time for him to face. The rumours about FedEx and Joe Gibbs ending their relationship says a lot about the current situation for Denny Hamlin. Well, let's find out what Denny Hamlin has decided. You will get to know it all here at NASCAR Inside. So without further ado, let's get into the video. But before we really get started, I kindly ask you to join the NASCAR Inside family by subscribing to our beautiful channel. Thanks in advance. Denny Hamlin, who currently drives for Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 11 FedEx car and made his debut in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2005, has been competing in the sport on a full-time basis since 2006 when he joined Joe Gibbs Racing. Arguably, Hamlin is one of the best active drivers because he's racked up 48 wins and 312 finishes in the top 10 over his 18-year career in the Cup. Throughout his whole career in the NASCAR Cup Series, Hamlin has competed for the same racing squad. Not only that, but throughout this entire process, he's had the same sponsor with FedEx, and he intends to maintain that relationship. Dale Earnhardt Jr. posed a question to Hamlin during a recording session for the Dale Jr. Download podcast in May.
Your cars get better. You see a couple more races like Kansas. Sponsor walks in. You've got 5 solid years left of like where you're willing to put in the commitment and the work behind the wheel that it's going to take to run well. Would you go drive for your own team? Would that be more interesting to you?
Not if FedEx extends. Yeah. I think that I would like to retire at Gibbs with FedEx because it's so unique to have a sponsor that has been part of the sport as long as they have and backed me as long as they have.
Sure.
There's just no way I could leave them. I mean, maybe at that point then I just run 1 or 2 races or something. Well, then I wouldn't win my last race probably. But I would like to retire at Gibbs with FedEx. But if things change, then things change, and then you got to reevaluate.
Yeah.
The contract that Hamlin has with FedEx is set to expire by the end of the 2023 Cup season, and so the 2022 season may be his last as the driver of the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. He also stated that he doesn't want to get in an automobile that's even worse than this one.
And having one of the best teams in the garage every week. That's why I don't want to get in a worse car because it's going to expose me in a big way. So I just don't want. I'd rather just kind of keep things as they are, and when that's done, then I'll be done.
Yeah.
It does not appear that Denny Hamlin has much desire in continuing to participate full-time if his lifelong sponsor FedEx does not extend their contract, as they are likely to move to a different location beginning in the 2024 season. Hamlin continued by saying the following on the podcast.
I don't want the performance to decline to where I don't think I can win every week. That's when I'm going to be like...
How old are you?
I'm 41.
Yeah.
And so I think that...
The numbers would suggest you got about 2 years.
Yeah.
Whose numbers?
So when I was retiring, I did some math.
Yeah. Yeah. The analytics, would tell you that. Yeah, I guess the analytics say that 39 to 40 is really a sweet spot.
It is.
And then you lose a little, then you lose a little, and then you lose a fair amount, and then you lose a lot.
Yeah.
Even if Denny Hamlin decides to end his career as a race car driver, he won't be leaving the sport entirely. But after these speculations, why was Denny Hamlin blamed? Denny Hamlin, a business partner of Michael Jordan's, was blamed for an embarrassing gaffe committed by a long-term NASCAR sponsor. So, Dave Moody's upset. But why? After all, it is disheartening to watch a delivery that's been so eagerly anticipated become drenched in the rain. And sadly, that is exactly what wound up happening to him. However, hold on a second. What exactly does Denny Hamlin have to do with all of this? So, Hamlin must be chuckling to himself and having the same thoughts. In a recent tweet, Dave Moody expressed his dissatisfaction with a delivery that was recently completed by FedEx by tagging the company in the post. But almost immediately after the tweet was published, NASCAR fans began tagging Denny Hamlin in the comments area of the post. In 2005, Hamlin had been a part of the Joe Gibbs Racing team, for which he drives the number 11 FedEx car. This association with the transportation firm began, and even though the NASCAR driver has nothing to do with what took place with Moody, fans saw this as an ideal occasion to have some laughs and enjoy themselves. The majority of folks on Twitter requested that Moody ask Hamlin for assistance. On the other hand, many quipped that it was Denny Hamlin who bought the package himself. It is important to point out that the contract that Hamlin has with Joe Gibbs Racing and FedEx is scheduled to run out by the end of the year 2023. In addition to his career as a race car driver, Hamlin is the co-owner of the NASCAR team 23XI Racing, which he shares with Michael Jordan. However, as his contract with JGR draws to a close, there is a possibility that he may no longer compete in races on a full-time basis, which could bring an end to his career. What are your thoughts regarding this? Let us know in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel for future updates. So, will Denny Hamlin step down as a driver for Joe Gibbs Racing and end his relationships with FedEx as a sponsor? In 2005, Denny Hamlin raced for the first time in the NASCAR Cup Series. And ever since then, he's been working with Joe Gibbs Racing, where he drives the FedEx vehicle with the number 11 on it. With such a long history together, it's not that hard to see the winner of the Daytona 500 racing full-time without the support of his team or sponsor. However, the same thing ended up occurring in 2022 with his former colleague, Kyle Busch. In a previous episode of Dale Jr. Download, Hamlin admitted that he was content to depart from JGR if his contract with FedEx was not extended. So, what has he decided now? On Thursday, Denny Hamlin delivered an off-season update ahead of what's going to be a contract year for him. He stated that he's hopeful to return to Joe Gibbs Racing after the 2023 season. Hamlin's comments came before the NASCAR Awards, which were held on Thursday night at Nashville's Music City Center. This year's Cup Series champion, Joey Logano, was honored at the event. During his morning availability, Hamlin stated that both his contract and the contract of his long-standing sponsor FedEx will be up for renewal following the 2023 season. Hamlin expressed his desire to complete his career at JGR, saying, "Certainly. During this time, the team has amassed a total of 48 victories despite participating in 614 races." The 42-year-old veteran finished last year's competition with 2 victories and a 5th place finish in the standings, bringing an end to his string of 3 consecutive appearances in the championship 4. However, in recent years, Hamlin has expanded his reach by extending into team ownership with 23XI Racing. This endeavour was a collaborative effort with co-owner Michael Jordan and made its debut on the track in 2021. During the previous season, this team expanded to include 2 race cars, and its drivers Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace both brought home victory for the firm. Hamlin stated that he anticipated a moment when he would transition to a full-time role on the ownership side. "Well, there'll be a moment where his focus is more needed as a team owner than a driver," Hamlin said. "But it's going to be on his terms and when he wants it to happen and when he thinks it needs to happen." However, he doesn't believe that. He does not anticipate that having ownership will hasten the process of his retirement. He believes that when the time comes for him to retire, it'll be a choice that he will make entirely on his own, regardless of how things are going with the racing team. Is Hamlin correct, in your opinion? Tell us in the comment section below. We'll be back, and until then, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.